Welcome to Your Town. I'm Chef Wendy Brodie with Art of Food, and I'm your culinary hospitality host for three wonderful guests today. My first guest, Elena Salsedo of Sweet Elena's. If you don't know about the most wonderful pastry shop, cafe in Sand City and on the peninsula, you're about to. Welcome, Elena. Thank you so much for coming and taking time away from your kitchen to be with us.
And thank you for having me here, Wendy.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I have to make one little comment, is that I got to know you through my husband, who ran Ventana for many years.
Correct.
And therein was my beginning of my charm for your talents, and I think you even gave me a class one time, and I still have all those recipes. But anyway, I'll let you start and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started, and go.
I guess with food, it started with a family who loves food. A father who made wine, mother who was a very good cook, a grandmother was a very good cook, and me going to the farmer's market very young in Tunis, where I grew up for the first 10 years of my life, and going to those markets who had an abundance of very fresh vegetable. And my mother was very determined to have us have a really good diet. So we'll had things like she had us eat brains one day a week, fish one day a week. I'm afraid to say it, horse meat one day a week.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And fish oil for the rest of the time too. So she prepared a lot of food at home, and we had always big gathering with a big family. So very early in my childhood, I was exposed to a lot of good food, a mix of French and Italian food, as both influences were there. Then we moved to France. From Tunisia, we moved to France, and we moved to the French Riviera, where my father had a small vineyard, and we lived in Antibes, who had a fabulous farmer's market as well. So there we did continue eating well and preparing a lot of good food. So I was the one interested in the family in food and the one helping my mother, just because I think I was eating everything and more interested, or maybe a little bit more of a gourmand. Then it was not something that I thought about getting into as I was young in school, as in those days it was not so much of a woman's world, but more like a man's world. And so I went to university, studied something that had nothing to do with food, got graduated, and then I did start a little traveling and lived in Greece for a while and in Italy for a while. And then I, in between travels, I will go back home, help out for the harvest. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine, while I was living in Paris, told me, what about going to California? And I thought, yes, let's go to California. So that's how we came to California. That's how I came to California. And since, like all the French people, we knew about Henry Miller and Big Sur and Esalen, so this is where I went. And this is where I end up staying, and coming back to. And that's how my start in the culinary industry started, as I did not speak so well English at the time. And I had this passion for food and love food. I got a job at Ventana's kitchen.
Wow.
And by a chef that was Willie Bishop, who just came up after Jeremiah Tower, who was a sous chef for Jeremiah Tower.
Right.
And I think he hired me just because I was European, and he thought that I would know everything about food. And he wanted to have a lot of time off. So I was his night kitchen helper, and I will cook his duck would just release an extreme amount of grease as you open the
Yes,
oven.
yes.
So I did that for a while, but at Ventana, the kitchen again was a male,
Yes,
territory, and the girls were in the pastry shop. And I didn't like hanging out. On my time off, I would go and hang out with the girls. And the pastry chef, when she had a position, offered it to me, and I thought, well, yeah, I like that. And I started working in the pastry shop. And then she disappeared in the middle of one of those big chef.
Oh dear.
And I did inherit of the job, and I managed to make up for what I did not know by my tenacity, I think. And so at first I will spend a lot of time just accomplishing the work, which was to continue making what they had as signature pastry, which was at the time the chocolate torte that she left without giving me a recipe, but from the corner of the eye I could see what she was doing. So I kind of made up this.
That was what you taught me.
Okay.
And it is so good. It is so good.
It is good. And I
my
transformed, I transformed it with a year, but I don't really make it anymore unless I make it for a friend or something, but I don't.
There was a lot of work involved in that.
Yeah.
But you put Ventana on the map with the granola. I mean, that
the
still
granola
is
that we developed was very good. Actually, it was under Bob's suggestion that I came up with a granola, and I did. And I still make this granola, the same one that I made at Ventana. And, I make about 80 pounds every 10 days and sell them all.
And you taught me how to do that too.
Oh, okay.
So I still would buy yours anyway.
Anyhow, so I found something that I loved. I think the artistic side, discover the artistic side for myself through the baking. And Ventana was very great for me as they trained me and sent me to meet, people, chef, and went to the International Pastry Arts Center in New York and worked with this chef that was fantastic, was Albert Cumin, who had been a chef at the White House.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful experience. Ended up staying at Ventana about 12 years and then moved to town because of personal life change. And also, start thinking about making something different, and started working on my own business, which now is 25 years old.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, this year, 25 years old. So at first, I was not making what I'm making now, actually. Just like I thought that I will make cake, biscotti, granola, and then I end up making quiches. I had all these, recipe that my mother was making, a way of making quiche, tourte. So I kind of expanded that way, and we started doing farmers market, and it's actually the farmers market who has brought us in Sun City a customer base, because at first I was just in a warehouse and I had absolutely no experience with retail. So by the farmers market, I was able to bring people to Sun City, and my place had about three remodeling. My first was just a kitchen. I was doing wholesale and farmers market. Then I opened a little stand in front to have a little retail. Then I thought, maybe I can do coffee and sandwiches. No, I can coffee and my quiches. Then I realized it would be nice. People want sandwiches, so we start making sandwiches. Then I start getting involved with the artists and have them on the walls. And it became like a little bit of a place to hang out, often for people who have their car in the shop and they come and sit here.
That's a perfect idea.
Yeah.
I have to bring my car. I
And
now
they,
know
you
how
know,
to,
they are
where
happy
wait.
to sit in my place. So little by little, we just got more involved. And then I wanted always to make bread. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I started making bread. And I always wanted to make bread. And I always wanted to make sourdough bread. And I wanted to make it with organic flour. So I went back to the place where my father had his vineyard in Provence, which was in the middle of nowhere. And just behind this place, I had opened a bakery, was completely organic, and was doing wholesale bakery, whole bread bakery, all the way from Marseille to Nice.
Wow.
And we used to go buy the bread there. And I went back and I asked them to show me how they were doing their things. And they showed me. And then when I came back from that trip, my girl had they had forgotten some apples in the refrigerator. And they were just fermenting, but like nicely fermenting with releasing juice. And I thought, first I thought, they forgot this. And then I thought, smells pretty good. So I just put flour in it and I started growing my starter.
Wow.
So I did that for a month.
Oh, gosh.
And then I have the same starter for the last 6 years. And we start making bread little by little that we make once a week and for our farmers market. You know, we take to the farmers market. We make once, twice a week, and we take it to the farmers market. And we make a variety of whole wheat sourdough, and then white, and rosemary is very popular. And then we have a tomato and olive, which is very popular too. So that has been very satisfactory for me to have a complete, you know.
And all from apples.
And all
now,
from the fermented apple.
With the chef, isn't that what the starter is called?
Yeah.
When the
Yeah.
chef, does it still have any essence of apples?
Not really.
Not
No,
really.
no.
But
You
what a
cannot.
way
Yeah.
to start
So
that.
that was a lot of fun. I'm very proud of
Oh,
starting
you
my
should
starter on my
be.
own.
Oh.
And now it's pretty, you know, it's like I'm keeping it alive and it's fun. But we make mostly pie. And that was a bit of a surprise that pie got to be so successful. But I guess we use butter in our crust. We use organic flour. We use organic fruit that we get from farmers that participate to the same farmers market that we have. And we have also customers that have an abundance of fruit sometimes, and they have, you know, they come to me and say, I have those plums in my garden and I can't deal with it. And they are all organic, so I'll take them on and I barter with them for a product or gift certificate. And so we have two attached, so to the pie making, we have two pie tasting a year that we started quite a while ago now, just before Thanksgiving, because I thought it would be a nice way to have the customer taste what we have to offer this year. And that got extremely popular right away. So people, I look forward our fall pie tasting, which I have just before the weekend, just before Thanksgiving.
So people, you said, pay $7.
They pay $7,
and then
they have six different pie. We make a mincemeat, and I make my mincemeat from scratch. And I started in September, and I put quince and apple and currant and candied orange peel, candied lemon peel, figs, date, lots of brandy.
Ooh.
So I marinate that for a month and a half, 2 months. And I always try to make a little extra that I still have some for Christmas.
I know what I'm getting from you.
So that has been like a tradition that we have. The pie. We get very busy for Thanksgiving, and we make the traditional, apple and apple crumb pie, pecan pie. Then we make some a little bit more different. That I make a chocolate walnut butterscotch tart. Also, that is to die for.
That's
decadent.
wonderful
Yes.
for you to say
Yes.
that. That's
Yeah.
And then you do a spring one, you said.
And then I do a summer one
summer
that we
one.
do during the West End event that take place at the end of August. This year is going to be the 19th of August, I believe, the 19th of August. That weekend is a West End event. So that's when we do more the summer pies. Strawberry, blueberry, peach, apricot when I found them. Sometimes I don't always found the fruit that I would like to work with, or I try to offer a different variety then.
Well,
So
I can attest to your quiches. They are deep
and the
dish.
quiche.
I can't make everything, and you saved me the other week with your wonderful pastries and deep dish. And of course, I picked up your wonderful brochure,
Thank you.
couple of them, so I can keep it at home, that has all the wonderful things in case we forget. So I keep it right in my kitchen drawer next to the phone.
Thank you.
And your work is just exquisite, and
Thank you.
and people always ask me, how do you keep in shape? And you told me you do the same types of things.
I walk, I swim. I was a dancer, I'm a swimmer, and I love to walk. And we stand up all the time. People
Yes.
ask me, how come you are here? And it's like, yeah, but my work is, I'm standing up 10 hours a day walking.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting at a computer,
Yes.
very rarely.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
so
us
much
today.
for having me. Thank you.